Hi, I'm Christian Brindle, and welcome to the Everything Medicare Podcast.
What's up, Everything Medicare Podcast Nation? Hey, this is Christian Brindle. Wherever you are and however you might be listening to me today, thank you so much for taking the time. And folks, this is episode 237 of the Everything Medicare Podcast. Apologies are in order to start this episode out. We went AWOL the last 2 weeks here. I have an explanation for it. Not going to take up the whole show. Before I get into that, though, I just wanted to mention, if you're new to the show, if this is your first time listening, every single week, me and my company, Christian Brindle Insurance Services, bring you a podcast episode on Mondays where we discuss your Medicare, your Medicaid, your Social Security, and everything that has to do with that golden age called retirement. Folks, 2 weeks ago, I woke up with strep throat. Fun, right? And essentially, what transpired with me was I caught it from my daughter. My wife and I had taken my daughter to like one of those little playpen, fun dome kind of things, and she was playing, in like the big ball pit and, with on these mats and things like that. And we think she caught it from one of the kids that was there. So she was sick. Up all night almost one night, just really having a hard time. And she gave it to me. And as many of you know who have had little kids in your life, grandkids, whatever the case might be, they are a walking germ magnet and they give you whatever they get, right? I mean, if they get it, you're probably going to get it too. And this is one thing I've learned in the last couple of years since becoming a father. My daughter turns 2 in about 3 months here. So I had strep throat. Hit me pretty hard. And yeah, so that was the first week. Second week, I was invited to be a guest speaker at a conference called Medicare Con with a lot of other insurance agents where we kind of get together and, have meetings of the mind, if you will. So I was out of town for probably about 4 days or so. And that kind of got in the way of recording the episode. So I apologize to our faithful listeners and our audience, and we have a terrific audience. And I appreciate your patience with us. We're back today on a Monday, and I don't plan on us missing any more episodes due to an except for maybe something like an apocalypse that might get in the way or something along those lines. So, folks, today I wanted to talk about something that, needs to be said. Because there's a lot of bull information that's being passed around on in the stratosphere, right? In the waves of the internet on YouTube, Facebook, things like that. People that deem themselves Medicare experts, and there's a lot of great Medicare experts out there other than myself, but people that deem themselves Medicare experts, but anybody with half a mind knows that they completely have a bias towards one side of the coin. What have I said since we started this show 237 episodes ago? I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll continue to say it until you're tired of hearing me say it. And that is, when you're getting onto Medicare, you have 2 choices in terms of where you can go, unless you're working, have credible coverage, that kind of stuff. But if you're getting onto Medicare, you can either get a Medicare supplement plan or the Part D prescription drug plan, or you can get a Medicare Advantage plan. It's one or the other. Every advertisement you ever hear about Medicare falls into one of these 2 categories every single time. But there's people out there that do what we do. In our office, we do both Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage plans. Because in my opinion, I do not believe that one is better than the other. I think they're just different. They have different strengths and weaknesses. I've done so many episodes about this. I'm not going to get into it too much today. But there's definitely people out there in the stratosphere that they have a complete bias to recommending one over the other for whatever reason. And a lot of the people that have the bias towards the Medicare supplement side of things try to demonize the Medicare Advantage side of the coin. And I know why they do it. I did an entire episode explaining it, kind of exposing why. It's one of two things. To sell, for an insurance agent to sell Medicare Advantage plans, to be able to represent them, they have to go through an extensive testing and certification process. And typically they have to go through a certification and test-taking process yearly for each insurance company they're going to represent. So the more insurance companies they're going to represent on the Medicare Advantage side of things, the more test certifications they have to do, and they have a certain amount of time to do it. They have to get a certain passing score, and that's required yearly, whereas Medicare supplements don't require such things for the most part. So agents either don't want to deal with these tests and certifications, and that's number one, so they try to only sell Medicare supplements, which in turn, in my opinion, they're taking it upon themselves to limit your choices, your options, because they don't want to take a test or two. That's number one. Number two, Medicare Advantage plans have a lot of different working parts, right? They come with medical coverage. They come with prescription drug coverage, dental coverage, vision coverage, hearing coverage. They do have networks of hospitals and doctors. There's a lot of working parts that comes with Medicare Advantage plan. They can go through changes year in and year out. Medicare supplement plans, on the other hand, they're a lot more of a simple product in the eyes of an insurance agent. It pays after Medicare. Medicare pays 80% of medical bills. The supplement pays 20% of the medical bills. The supplement doesn't do drug coverage, dental, vision, hearing. It's just less of a complicated product for the agent, so that a lot of times they see that it's less work for them. It's a lot of less legwork for them to be able to do these kind of programs. And so they represent that because they don't want to get it. They don't have to do as much work on the customer service side. It's usually one of those two, if not a combination of the two. But there's been agents out there, particularly ones with larger audiences than mine. I'm not going to say any names because this particular individual probably would try to press charges. They're that type of person. They have an incredibly volatile reputation in the industry with being incredibly insecure, thin-skinned, and having incredibly biased information, and just being an overall nasty person. I bet the entire audience is dying for me to say a name. I'm not going to do it. I don't have time for that kind of drama. But I did feel the need to touch on this subject. I saw a video come out in the last couple of weeks where basically this certain individual with a large audience was saying that Medicare Advantage, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly what they said, but they said something along the lines, the message was Medicare Advantage is tinkering off, it's becoming less and less valuable and less popular, and Medicare supplements, original Medicare, is on the way up, which is complete bogus. It's complete bogus. There's 10,000 people a day in the country that turn 65. Both sides actually probably would see the numbers increase, first of all. But anybody that, is paying attention would see that Medicare Advantage plans are actually probably most likely going to be more and more and more a big part of what goes on in the Medicare stratosphere, and probably the way of the future. And I saw an article that kind of talked about it. Not to say that Medicare supplements won't have their place, they will, but I believe in the next 10 to 15 years, we'll probably see more and more of a shift towards Medicare Advantage. I mean, we've already seen it. Anybody that's paying attention has already seen this, right? I mean, if you see 100 commercials about Medicare in a given week, let's say 100, how many of them are talking about Medicare supplements opposed to how many are talking about Medicare Advantage plans? For those of you who aren't aware, Joe Namath is talking about Medicare Advantage, not Medicare supplements. Joe Theismann is talking about Medicare Advantage, not Medicare supplements. Mike Ditka is talking about Medicare Advantage, not Medicare supplements. All the $0 premium plan advertisements, I mean, from my perspective, it's probably like 95% of the ads that go on each and every day are for Medicare Advantage. Why? It's because every single party involved, other than you, the consumer, has a vested interest for you to be on a Medicare Advantage plan opposed to Medicare Supplement. Now, I'm not saying that you should. I think that you need to look at your options and pick what's best for you. But the insurance companies sure as hell would rather you be on a Medicare Advantage plan. And I got news for you. So would the government. We'll get into this more in a little bit, but I just wanted to talk about this article that kind of came across my attention. It was written on the Chicago Tribune by a Robert E. Moffat. It was written on March 4th. And it's titled, Washington Can No Longer Ignore the Coming Medicare Crisis. I'll read you a little bit of the article. Official Washington, D.C. just got another early warning. The Congressional Budget Office recently confirmed the Medicare Trustees 2020 report that the Medicare Trust Fund, the Part A account that funds the hospitalization and related services, faces insolvency by 2026. Insolvency means that Medicare wouldn't be able to fully reimburse hospitals, nursing homes, and home health care agencies for promised benefits. In 2026, Medicare payments would be immediately cut by 10%, and the payment cuts would continue each year therefore after. Medicare patients would be hit hard. You cannot cut provider payments for medical services without having an impact on the beneficiaries, on the benefits of those services. The COVID-19 pandemic briefly highlighted Medicare's vulnerability to economic setbacks when CBO last September projected trust fund insolvency even earlier, by 2024. Statewide lockdowns shocked the economy, spiking widespread business closures and driving high unemployment. These disruptions reduced Medicare's job-based federal payroll taxes, threatening insolvency earlier than anticipated. Insolvency 2 years earlier or later makes little difference. Washington policymakers must soon make some big decisions and cannot escape responsibility for what will happen to the program, its beneficiaries, or the taxpayers. There's nothing new here. Year in and year out, the Medicare trustees have reportedly warned Congress and the White House that the Medicare Trust Fund meets neither short nor long-term financial standards. It has been routinely running tens of billions of dollars in annual deficits and is expected to generate red ink well into the future. A demographic imbalance is increasing the pressure. The trustees report that over the last 35 years, Medicare enrollment doubled and is projected to grow by 50% over the next 35 years. Meanwhile, the number of workers supporting Medicare beneficiaries is shrinking. In 2008, there were 4 workers per beneficiary. In 2019, that declined by 3 workers per beneficiary. By 2030, there will be only 2.5 workers supporting each Medicare beneficiary. The article continues, what to do if Congress and the White House really wanted to eliminate Medicare's trust fund deficits altogether, a big if. The trustees say that Washington could either raise the standard payroll tax from 2.9% to 3.66% immediately, or reduce Medicare trust fund expenditures by 16%. That is unlikely. The Medicare trustees, nonetheless, point to these stark options simply to illustrate the magnitude the changes needed to eliminate the deficits and insolvency. They recognize, however, that such immediate changes would be unpalatable and measures are likely to be more gradual. Even so, the longer Washington waits, the more painful the solution becomes. Let's see. I'm going to skip through some of this, everybody, to get to a little bit more of what we need to talk about. Okay, here we go. I just skipped through some of it because we kind of get the point at this point. The big change would be to build on the success of Medicare Advantage, Medicare's system of competing private health plans and a comprehensive defined contribution program, and to harness the powerful forces of consumer choice and market competition. That would not only improve the quality of care, but also control costs for beneficiaries and taxpayers alike. That is a big job, and it must start sooner rather than later. It will take a combination of brains, guts, and bipartisan cooperation. It's called statesmanship. So, more or less, what the article is saying is the way out of a problem like that is to lean more into Medicare Advantage. I got news for the author. They've been doing that gradually for years. The amount of Medicare Advantage, funding has gone up pretty dramatically the last couple of years. And someone really, really smart that I know in the industry explained this to me years ago. A guy by the name of Medicare Bob, a lot of you might know him. He runs a fantastic agency in Florida, and he's been on our show. He has a really, really great YouTube channel, but he explained it to me one time when we were doing a video together. He explained it to me like this. This is why the government would prefer Medicare Advantage as well. Because overall, if you take 1 million people on original Medicare and you take 1 million people on Medicare Advantage, they probably spend more money on the first group that they're covering. And this is what I mean by that. Even when you factor in people that are healthy and don't use it at all or very little. This is how he explained it to me. And of course, the numbers are subjective, right? The numbers are here and there, but just work with me on this. Let's say it costs the government an average of $1,500 a month per person to cover people. Let's just say that's the average, $1,500 a month per person. For all I know, it's probably a lot higher than that. It might be $2,000. I don't know. But let's just use an example here. Why does it cost the government so much? I've said it before, I'll say it again. The government is not an insurance company. What are insurance companies? The best risk managers in the world. Is the government that? I think not. A lot of people look at the government as incompetent, whether you do or don't. I think we can all agree that the government is not set up to be the biggest insurance company in the country, because that's what they're set up to be right now. That's what they're trying to do by providing Medicare, to be the biggest insurance company in the country. They insure more people than really any insurance company does, as far as I know. But they're less equipped to do so. Their systems are outdated. Their processes are old. And they don't know how to stretch a dollar like an insurance company does, good or bad. So let's say it costs them about $1,500 a month on average to cover somebody on Medicare. Well, let's say an insurance company can do the same thing and more in the form of a Medicare Advantage plan if essentially a person decides to run their Medicare through the insurance company. The insurance company takes over and starts paying the claims, let's say. But the insurance company can do that, everything Medicare is doing, provide a little bit better medical coverage, give the person prescription coverage, give the person some dental, vision, and hearing coverage. And let's say they can do it for $1,200 a month. And they don't have to charge any extra premium or very little premium to the beneficiary. The person still pays into the Medicare Part B premium. The government essentially passes this over to them. Or maybe even the insurance company can do it for $1,000 a month. I've read in many places that in Medicare Advantage companies get on average about $1,000 a month in funding per person. So, but let's say they can do it profitably. Let's say they can do it profitably for $800 a month. So they get $1,000 a month from the government and they pocket the extra $200. The government is then saving $500 a month per person. That adds up, folks, when you're getting into the millions of people. So from that standpoint, the government doesn't mind Medicare Advantage. That's why we've seen it expand. 5 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, when I first started doing this, Medicare Advantage plans did not have even a fraction of the benefits that they have today. The increased dental, vision, hearing, over-the-counter item essentials, the amount of plans and the amount of markets that have programs that will give you Medicare Part B refunds, or at least a portion of your Medicare Part B premium can be given back to you or reduced. A lot of that stuff didn't exist 7 years ago, or even 6 or 5 years ago. The plans have continuously gotten better. The benefits have continuously gotten stronger. So what does that tell me? The program has had more of an emphasis in the eyes of the government. It's a trend. The funding has gone up. The last administration, they passed several bills that we've talked about on this show that was to seek to strengthen Medicare Advantage and fund it more. And do I think Medicare supplements still are incredibly important and have a place? Yes. It's not what I'm saying that every single person should be on Medicare Advantage. I'm not one of those people that will say this is good all the time and this is evil. Because anytime someone says that, they clearly have an agenda. 1,000% of the time. And they clearly don't have your best interests in mind. They're just trying to stuff their fat face. You need to be able to look at both of your options, but also understand that if the trend continues as is, we could see Medicare Advantage becoming more and more and more of the new normal for people on Medicare. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I sure did. It was something that I wanted to talk to you about and just kind of spend some time talking about. If you live in one of the 35-ish states that we work with people on, and we put them all in the description and the show notes of each show. If you're watching the video version on YouTube of this episode, it'll be in the description of the video. Give us a call. We'd love to work with you on your Medicare plan. My office number is 801-255-5340, 801-255-5340, or if you're more comfortable shooting me an email, you're more than welcome to do so. My personal email address is Christian, Christian, B as in boy, Christian B at X, like X-ray, mission.com. Christian B at xmission.com. And folks, thank you for taking the time to listen today. Thank you for your patience for our 2-week hiatus. And we have some great episodes that are going to be coming to you in the next couple of months here. I can't wait for it. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, thanks for listening. Christian Brindle out. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like on the video, comment your thoughts, and make sure to subscribe for future insurance and Medicare information.